Globala nyheter möter vi reportrar från hela världen med aktuella nyheter från jordens mest drabbade platser. Och nu idag så ska vi hålla oss kvar i Afghanistan. De afghanska fredssamtalen används pressfriheten som en spelbricka i samtalen. Och om det här ska vi tala tillsammans med Erik Halkjaer från Reportrar, utan, gränser och den afghanska exiljournalisten Wali Arian som numera arbetar på Sveriges Radios persiska redaktion. Samtalet sker på engelska.
Hejsan! Erik Halkjaer heter jag är ordförande för Reportrar, utan, gränser Sverige. Jag har idag med mig, som Anna sa precis här innan, Wali Arian som är exiljournalist från Afghanistan och ska bistå mig i detta samtal. Vi har tidigare i den här utblicken gjort nedslag i Nordafrika i torsdags, och i fredags så var vi en utblick i Belarus. De här samtalen går att se på nätet i efterhand. Jag ska bara säga att vi kommer föra samtalet på engelska och säga hej till Wali. Hello Wali.
Hello Erik.
Welcome to this seminar about Afghanistan and the journalism.
Thank you so much. It's very important for me as a journalist from Afghanistan and for our audience what is going on in Afghanistan in a very important time in Afghanistan.
Thank you. I will get back to you in a few seconds. Afghanistan är Sveriges största biståndsland. Och det pågår också en konflikt sedan många decennier. Men trots detta så hör vi inte så mycket om Afghanistan. Vi får korta nedslag då och då när det är attacker, politiska förändringar, just nu under fredssamtalen till exempel. Det här beror ju på att Afghanistan är ett av världens absolut farligaste länder för journalister. För 2 år sedan så dödades 15 journalister i Afghanistan, och förra året dödades det 4. Hittills i år har 1 dödats i sitt arbete. Men trots detta så ska vi komma ihåg att Afghanistan ligger på plats 122 av 180 i Reportrar, utan Gränsers pressfrihetsindex. Det är faktiskt bättre än några länder i Europa, till exempel Belarus, Ryssland, Turkiet. Anledningen är till att i Afghanistan så råder det trots allt viss medier. Det finns många medier, det finns många oberoende medier, en mångfald bland medierna och ett konstitutionellt skydd mot medier. Den stora utmaningen är naturligtvis våldet och konflikten och kriget. Och här är framförallt kvinnliga journalister utsatta. Reportrar utan gränser jobbar sedan ett par år med en organisation som heter Center for the Protection of Women Afghan Journalists för att förbättra situationen för kvinnliga journalister i Afghanistan. Förra året så nominerade Reportrar utan gränser Sverige också den afghanska journalisten Najwa Alimi som jobbar på Sun TV, som var här i Sverige och tog emot Per Anger-priset, svenska regeringens pris för mänskliga rättigheter. Och hon beskrev väldigt tydligt de uppoffringar och de problem och de utmaningar som kvinnliga journalister i Afghanistan konfronteras med varje dag. Det krävs ett oerhört mod att inte bara vara journalist utan också kvinnlig journalist. Nu i och med fredssamtalen som pågår i Afghanistan så har situationen för journalister, kan man säga, lugnat sig något. Men det är fortfarande väldigt osäker, och pressfriheten är en spelbricka i fredssamtalen. Vi ser också en situation där reportrar som rapporterar om covid-19, coronapandemin, utsätts också för censur eller till och med gripits för sin rapportering. Som är i viss mån en granskande journalistik av den afghanska regeringens hantering av det här. Men låt oss börja med Wali Arian som själv flydde från Afghanistan för 3 år sedan, då han jobbade på den afghanska tv-kanalen Tolo News. Wali, please tell us, why did you have to flee from Afghanistan?
Thank you, Erik. I have experience as a war correspondent in Afghanistan for 12 years, but since I made a documentary from inside the war from Helmand, the Taliban and other insurgents group threat became very serious on me. When Kunduz province fall to Taliban hand for the first time in 2015, I and my colleagues went for reporting. There happened a lot of things in Kunduz, including it was very high, and I made report about the civilian casualties by Taliban and rape, bombing by Taliban fighters. After that, Taliban called me in my office, which is flown news TV as a their military target. I have been in a safe house for several months in Kabul. It's a very tight security. And when I was at safe house, Taliban attacked on my colleague, which killed 7 my colleagues and 25 others were in jail. And after that, Afghanistan intelligence agency, U.S. embassy, and other Afghanistan government and non-government national and international organizations, they received reports that Taliban, after that attack, will kidnap me. That was 2 goals for the Taliban. At first, they will head off me, and the second was if they capture me alive, their goal was that to exchange me with their commanders, which were inside the jail, or found some money from Tolo TV or from Afghanistan government to exchange me with their with their commanders, and found some money. At that time, my office in European Union and in Afghanistan intelligence agency, they told there is no any guarantee if they capture you or kidnap you, they will leave you alive. So the best way is that to leave the country. And after that, my office decided to evacuate me from Afghanistan and wanted help from European country, and I couldn't evacuate me from Afghanistan. 3.5 years back, I decided to come in Sweden in a scholarship, which is I could.
Thank you, Wali. I'm sorry, the connection is a bit shaky, Wali, so I will just explain a bit to the viewers what you said. Wali Arian tvingades alltså fly från Afghanistan på grund av hot och attacker, fysiska bombattacker mot honom och hans kollegor och tv-stationen Tolo News i Afghanistan. Och han lyftes helt enkelt ut av sina chefer och med stöd av Europeiska unionen till Sverige för 3,5 år sedan. Idag så lever Wali i Malmö i Sverige. Would you say, Wali, that how has the situation for journalists, you follow the situation from Sweden now, how would you say that the situation for journalists has changed in Afghanistan these last 3 years?
Sorry, Erik, the connection was a bit weak. I didn't understand.
Okay. How would you say that the situation for journalists has changed the last 3 years?
In Afghanistan?
Yes.
The situation is, as you've told before, the situation is very tough for journalists, especially for the women journalists in Afghanistan. Since 3 years back, I lost my colleagues, friends, who were working as a journalist with Afghan channels, media. Taliban for several times called media as an enemy in Afghanistan, and ISIS called as an enemy, and they ordered their fighters to attack on Afghan media and Afghan journalists, because that most of journalists inside Afghanistan, they are worried about the future, about their job, and I know some Afghan journalists, they left their job as a journalist and they started another job. Taliban forced women journalists in Ghazni, in Kunduz, in Helmand to leave their job. If they do not, they will attack or they will murder them. But I can say the situation is very tough for Afghan journalists. As you know, last year, Afghanistan became on the list 120. Before that, it was 119. It shows the situation is not good, and I'm very worried, and I'm concerned about the future of situation for the Afghan media.
Yes. Så Wali säger här att han har kollegor som har tvingats lämna sitt arbete och några till och med dödats, och han vet kvinnliga journalister i områden som Ghazni, Kunduz, Helmand, områden som är väldigt hårt drabbade av konflikten mellan regeringen och talibanerna och även ISIS. Har helt enkelt kunnat tvingats sluta jobba, kanske tagit jobb, valt andra yrken. Wali, how would you... Sorry, Wali. Yes.
Yeah, and I can say one thing more. As you know, many journalists are left our country and they came as a refugee in European countries like Sweden, Germany, and some journalists, I know them, they're inside the camps in Yunan and Turkey. Their situation is not good. They are worried about that. But if the situation going like this, I'm not sure there will be safe Afghan media or Afghan media workers and journalists. They are worried about their safety.
Yes.
For several times, I have witnessed that the journalists were kidnapped, and illegal commanders, smugglers, Taliban and ISIS, they threatened them if they do not stop their job as a journalist, if they do not their job how they want, they will kidnap them or arrest them. But because that I'm not very hopeful for the future of this situation in Afghanistan, and I'm worried about that.
Yes. Så Wali säger att det är många journalister i Afghanistan som befinner sig i flyktingläger på väg in i Europa, till exempel i Grekland eller Turkiet eller i andra närområden, och att många journalister hotas till att lämna sina jobb eller vara tysta av talibaner eller lokala krigsherrar. Wali är väldigt orolig för framtiden, för pressfrihet och media i Afghanistan. How would you say, Wali, that the peace talks, that the ongoing peace talks now they just started between the government and the Taliban, how do you think that the press freedom and the situation for journalists will be discussed during these talks, knowing that the Taliban don't want same press freedom as their government?
Let me say something from the period of the Taliban when they were in Afghanistan, when they were controlling Afghanistan.
Yes.
As you can remember, there was no free media in Afghanistan, no freedom of expression in Afghanistan, and there were no free journalists. The only Afghan radio was active during the Taliban, which was Radio Shariat, and it was broadcasting propaganda against the Taliban's enemy, and the program were all Islamic. Even watching TV, listening music were a crime. But after the Taliban, we improved in Afghanistan really good. We have a very good freedom of expression law in our region. Taliban are afraid of freedom of expression and free of media, because that it is not acceptable for the Taliban, and democracy, freedom of expression, freedom of media is not acceptable for the Taliban, and they ignore all the times. They want to change everything how they want. And this time, which is peace talks going on between the Taliban and the government of Afghanistan, we are worried. Why? Journalists, Afghan media has not any representative to negotiate or talk with the Taliban and the government of Afghanistan to they save this situation for the Afghan media, which is a very good achievement for Afghanistan during 19th year back. But Taliban do not accept the situation and the democracy, freedom of speech, and Afghanistan government also doesn't care about that. Because if they were thinking about that, if it was important for them, maybe there will be a journalist or among the Afghanistan government representative.
Okay, yes. So you're saying that if the government took this serious, they would have a spokesperson for media or journalism in the negotiation team at the negotiation table with the Taliban.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Do they discuss or they talk about our achievements based to freedom of expression, freedom of media, and to they save this achievement for the future.
Yeah.
As we all know, without democracy, without freedom of speech and freedom of expression or freedom of media, there will be nothing, or there will be not democracy.
Thank you, Wali. We need to round up here, so thank you very much. And I will sort of sum this up for the viewers. Så vad Wali säger här är ju att utan pressfrihet, utan oberoende journalistik så kommer det inte att bli någon demokrati i Afghanistan. Det kommer också bli väldigt svårt att få till ett fredsavtal. Samtidigt så ger han en väldigt pessimistisk bild av hur pressfriheten ligger som en spelbricka i de här samtalen och kanske kan förhandlas bort. Vi kommer få återkomma till detta. Fredssamtalen har ju precis börjat. Och vi får hoppas att Sverige, som är en stor biståndsgivare, det största biståndslandet i Afghanistan för Sverige, också kommer att ta det här på allvar, att driva den här frågan i samtalen. Titta gärna på de tidigare samtalen vi har haft i torsdags och i fredags och sprid detta. Tack så mycket.